Our top story this morning, Pope Francis departing for Philadelphia after a momentous visit to New York. Last night, Francis wrapped up his New York City visit by celebrating Mass at Madison Square Garden. About 18,000 worshipers were in attendance. That followed a whirlwind of a day. Chip Reid is here with the details. Chip, good morning.
Well, good morning. During his evening Mass, Francis said God is living in our cities, and with thousands lining Manhattan streets to catch a glimpse of him, yesterday the so-called People's Pope made his presence felt in New York City. The cheers erupted inside Madison Square Garden at the first sight of Pope Francis. And the roar continued after a passionate address from New York Archbishop Timothy Dolan.
At every single Mass, every single day, we pray for and in union with Francis, our Pope, and now here you are.
About 18,000 of the faithful packed into the famous Midtown Arena to witness the Pope's message about faith in the big city. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light, the Pope said, and we ourselves are witnesses of that light. But perhaps no one wanted to see him more than the parents of this ailing child who were moved to tears when the Pope gave the child his blessing. It was a tender moment capping off a long day for the Pope in the Big Apple. It started with a trip to the United Nations where, after a warm greeting, Pope Francis scolded world leaders for an explosion in global violence, particularly in the Middle East and Africa. Speaking in his native Spanish, Francis said the resulting flood of refugees was a, quote, grave summons for world leaders to examine their consciences. From there, the Pope made an emotional visit to Lower Manhattan. He prayed at the reflecting pools where the World Trade Towers once stood. He met with families of those who lost their lives that day more than 14 years ago. And he took part in an interfaith service with leaders from other religions to remember the victims and honor the survivors. The family members show us their face of pain, he said, pain that leaves us speechless, but that screams to heaven. The Pope then continued on to a Catholic school in East Harlem, where excited children showed off their projects and taught him how to use a smartboard, or at least they tried. The children also sang to him, to the Pope's absolute delight. Then the Pope headed off to evening Mass with a joyous procession through Central Park. An estimated 80,000 people lined the route for a chance to see him as he passed by in the Pope-mobile, a moving experience for many in the crowd.
When he speaks, we don't feel that he speaks only to one faith. We feel that he speaks to all of us.
The Pope will be leaving New York with some poignant gifts from government officials. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo gave Francis a cross cut from steel salvaged from the World Trade Center. And Mayor Bill de Blasio presented him with his very own New York City ID card. Vanita?
Chip Reid, thank you.